Shalom. Call Allah Yahweh Shemi Shai Bashim Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles at Great Millstone that rule and teach well, that taught us this truth, the 100% truth. Salutations to the Akim on the four corners of the earth, risking their lives each and every week on the highways and the byways, teaching this truth. And to the brothers and sisters tuning in for edification, come with another lesson. And this lesson is train up a child in the way he should go. And the reason why I say that is because in our Israelite households, things have not been, the way it should be. You know what I'm saying? Because decades and decades of not, having a father in the household has disrupted, the family structure. And, pretty much back like in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, pretty much the father was in the household. And it's all set up and designed, to get the man out of the household. And that pretty much was, during the time when we came over here in slavery, It was, a system to get our men out the household. And that's why our children is lacking, They're lacking to be trained up, in the ways of this truth. But what they've been trained to do is been trained up the ways of this world, And now our children is, disrespectful to the man in the household, because they haven't seen a man in the household, in today's society. The things are messed up, it's screwed up, And this is wrong to the eyes of the Yahweh Shemi Shai. He doesn't like that, And now I think there's on YouTube, nigga women is making videos talking about clap your hand. If your daddy ain't shit, clap your hand. You know what I'm saying? And that's, man, that's stupidity right there, man. At its finest, you know what I'm saying? What in the right mind that you gonna teach your kid to do, stupid stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? Ain't no other nations doing that. No. You don't see Ishmael or Elam or the Moabites or the Ammonites, you know what I'm saying, teaching any of their kids to hate their dad or disrespect their dad. So that's why our families are lacking, because the father is not in the household, and that child need to be trained up, you know what I'm saying? Trained up to know, hey, not to disrespect either one, your dad or your mom, you know what I'm saying? But now in this world, you can't put the rod to them, you know what I'm saying? You can't put the rod to the child, And when you put that rod to the child, that's training them, that's training them upright, you know what I'm saying? But that's how our people is, They don't see that, So let me go to the first scripture, Proverbs 22 and 6. And what it says, Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6, train up a child in the way he should go, and he is old, he will not depart from it. Yeah. Because I can say for myself, I know my mom was, going to church because my grandmother, a little testimony, my grandmother, she went to church all her life, But as time went on, my mom didn't take us to church because she knew how wicked it was. But that was the important thing, in a family household, having, two parents in the household to train your child up, you know what I'm saying, to know what's right and wrong, and that's why that's what's supposed to be taught to our kids, you know what I'm saying, these scriptures, you know what I'm saying. And what these scriptures do is they give you a sense of direction, to build you up, to go in the right direction, you know what I'm saying. But since we've been messed all up in the head, you know what I'm saying, during slavery time, now we went in the wrong direction, you know what I'm saying. And that's only because we went off, you know what I'm saying, worshiping other idols. So we as a people, you know what I'm saying, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, we have to take full responsibility of that, you know what I'm saying. Our actions, you know what I'm saying, for not being obedient to Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. And now that's why our families are lacking, you know what I'm saying. And now the woman is doing the training, and that's why our men are in nothing but trouble, you know what I'm saying. These niggas, you know what I'm saying, because they are emotional, because they haven't been trained up, you know what I'm saying. They haven't been, like the scriptures say, Proverbs 22:6, I'll read it again, train up a child in the way he should go. Yeah, because if you have that foundation, which is the truth, you know what I'm saying, then you would know, the right thing to do, you know what I'm saying. And without that, you know what I'm saying, you would struggle, you know what I'm saying. You would struggle, because this system here, will teach your kid the wrong way, but the scriptures will teach you the right way. It'll train your child up in the way he should go. And then when you're in certain situations, you'll know that you have to, pray to Yahweh Hashem Yahushua to guide you, and direct your path, you know what I'm saying, to put you in the right position to be able to get out of those certain situations and circumstances, But that's why our families are lacking now, because there's a lot of single family households, you know what I'm saying. The man is not in there, and that's why our families are messed up, And then what it says, and when he is old, yeah, because even if you stray away from, once you've been trained up, you and your family household, your father, he's teaching you how to be a man. He's teaching you the things that you need to know through the truth, the scriptures. Then you might depart at times in your life when you're younger, but you'll have that foundation, you know what I'm saying. And when he is old, you know what I'm saying, like he said, you will not depart from it, you know what I'm saying, because you will be able to rely back on it. But now, the men today, they don't have that, you know what I'm saying. They don't have that foundation because they're allowing Esau, Edom, the so-called self-proclaimed so-called white man, to teach them the ways, and those ways are being nothing but wicked, man. You know what I'm saying? And that's how, and it's teaching our women to be wicked, and that's what Esau has done, you know what I'm saying. And I'm gonna get that in Sirach 25:19, yeah, because that's what he has taught our women to be wicked, Sirach 25:19, and all wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman. Let the portion of a sinner fall upon her. Yeah. And this is talking about our Israelite women, you know what I'm saying? And what have our women learned from? They've learned from, the best. They've learned from their daddy Esau, you know what I'm saying? And that goes all the way back to the garden, And our women is not, right, you know what I'm saying? They have strayed away from the law, statutes, and commandments. They'll go to these churches, you know what I'm saying, to listen to the pastor, because these women are wicked, you know what I'm saying? And they'll do that. But when it come down to following what Yahweh Shema Osai say do, following the law, statutes, and commandments, being obedient to him, they shun that away, you know what I'm saying? because they haven't been trained. You know what I'm saying? They haven't been trained up to go in the right way, and that's these scriptures. You know what I'm saying? And that's, they supposed to be taught by a man. And these scriptures, they'll show you. You know what I'm saying? How to guide yourself. They'll train you up. They'll help you. You know what I'm saying? And that's through the power of Yahweh Shem Shai, through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai to guide you in those circumstances. And, in this world, man, it has, messed our people up in all circumstances and situations, you know what I'm saying? And let me read that back again. And all wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman. Yeah. Because these women, man, they wicked, man. They wicked. The stuff they do, man, you know what I'm saying? They get in these relationships. They have 4 or 5 different baby daddies. You know what I'm saying? Just opening their legs up to all kind of, men. But they don't realize that you got each man you getting with, they just put number demons on you. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be mindful of that. And then they having, all these babies out of wedlock, and they not being trained up. You know what I'm saying? They're not being, guided, the right way. They're not being taught the scriptures of the Bible. They're not being taught who they are. They got to realize and understand that they have to take fault for that, because receiving this truth, you know what I'm saying, the real riches, this will, take you a long ways. And then our men won't be getting locked up, you know what I'm saying, like they're doing now. They won't be going the wrong direction, you know what I'm saying. They won't be followers, they'll be leaders. And that's why the elect in the 1/3 has woken up. This is awakening that has waken up to this truth. And it's all through, the head apostles, you know what I'm saying, receiving the truth, receiving the truth from Yahweh Shem Shai and passing it on down to the men, you know what I'm saying, the hopefully elect, you know what I'm saying, on the 4 corners of this earth. And that's why our people is lacking in all circumstances and situations, but that's how things go, you know what I'm saying. When you don't put this word first, then you lack in certain situations, and that's why most of our families are dealing with that now. You know what I'm saying. Let me go to because you're supposed to honor your father and your mother, and let me go to Exodus 20:12. And it says, honor thy father and honor thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, thy power give thee. Yeah. Because in this society, they will tell you to honor your mother first, you know what I'm saying? They disown the dad, you know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong, you know what I'm saying? You're supposed to honor, both of your parents, you know what I'm saying? You're supposed to honor the dad and the mom. But here in Babylon, they just, the woman is first in everything. That's because there's no man in the household, And it said, so the family structure is all messed up. You know what I'm saying? It's all messed up. And it's a reason why. You know what I'm saying? Because you're supposed to honor your father, then your mother, And the Most High is all about order, you know what I'm saying? And what's that scripture in Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 9, you know what I'm saying? You're supposed to teach your sons, thy son's son. Yeah, so, and by doing this, it shows, that you're setting your family structure is going to be strong. That foundation is going to be strong, And that's what you're supposed to do, you know what I'm saying? Because if you don't do it, this world going to teach your son, And that's why we're supposed to be able to teach the women, you know what I'm saying? And that's First Corinthians chapter 14, verse 34. You know, because that plays an important part of what's going on now. You know what I'm saying? You know, let your women keep silent. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 34. It's like, let your women keep silent in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also said the law. Verse 35. And if they will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home, for it is a shame for women to speak in the church. Yeah. So you're supposed to, teach your wife. You know what I'm saying? The man is the head. You know what I'm saying? Just like it's an order. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's 1 Corinthians 11 and 3. It's an order. You know what I'm saying? You have the Yahweh, then Yahweh-Shai, then the man, then the woman, and the children. So it's an order, you know what I'm saying? And when you have that, the family structure, won't struggle, you know what I'm saying? Because right now, our families are through, you know what I'm saying? They done, they through. It's all messed up, because most of our men and our kids, our women, our girls is growing up, they're not being trained up. They're being trained to, learn a rap song, or trying to make it into the NBA, or trying to make it, in the WNBA or the NFL or the, pro baseball, you know what I'm saying? That's what they're being taught. Or, learning how to be wicked, you know what I'm saying? And that's not the way to go, you know what I'm saying? That's not at all. So this next scriptures will show you, what women's supposed to be like, you know what I'm saying? And then we go to Titus chapter 2, verse 3. The aged women likewise, that they be in behavior as become holiness, and not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things. Yeah. And that's straight to the point, you know what I'm saying? Our women will be a good teachers to who? To the kids, you know what I'm saying? Verse 4, that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children. Yeah. So, so when the women are in order, that teaches the kids to respect, the father, you know what I'm saying, in the household. And most of the time, man, a kid see a woman disrespecting, the dad in the household, man, that's showing them bad ways. And most of the time, these nigga women today, that's what they do, you know what I'm saying? They ain't showing that you supposed to show love to the father, you know what I'm saying? And what is love? Love is the keeping of the commandments, you know what I'm saying? The law, statute, and commandments. The law, statute, and commandments that the Most High said. And what he said honor your father and mother. And that's what most of these nigga women ain't doing, you know what I'm saying? They're teaching the kids, like I was saying again, they teaching the kids to be demons, and that's not good, not at all. So this is not gonna be a long show. Go straight to the point. So I'll read one more scripture and then we'll call it, call it like it is, and I hope it's edifying, So let me go to I read Proverbs see if I can go to Proverbs 31. And I'll read to, then I'll call that up. Start at 26. She is not afraid of this. She opened her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. She looked well to the ways of her household and eat not the bread of idleness. Verse 24, her children arise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praised her. Yeah, because like I said again, when the kids see the father is doing what the scriptures are saying, training them up, as they go, as they should go, paraphrasing, it teaches the women to show, how to love the kids and care for the kids. And that's all through building up the family structure, through the faith of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. And how is that established? Through the law, statute, and commandments, you know what I'm saying? So that's important. And that's why I say today, man, our family is all messed up. It's all screwed up. And we have to, and now, the elect in the 1/3 is coming back to this truth and building their families up, you know what I'm saying? Training their kids up, not allowing the world to do it, you know what I'm saying? Because if you don't, the world is going to do it, you know what I'm saying? So I hope that was edifying, you know what I'm saying? I want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, that belongs to the apostles at Great Millstone that rule and teach well, to the Akim on the four corners of this earth, teaching this truth, risking their lives, teaching every day on the highways and the byways, and to the brothers and sisters tuning in for edification. This is your brother Dawadah. Come on another lesson. I hope that was edifying. Shalom.